No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take. Or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door is open to you. Oh, this door is open. This door right here, this door is open to you. Is open for you. This door is open to you. This door is open. I'm talking about this door. This door is open. I said this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white or gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
Good morning, beautiful Unity. So good to see you all. Let's start our day with love.
I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy.
To Unity Spiritual Center of Portland, where we gather with an intention to begin our days in an awareness of the infinite intelligence of this universe. We can call it joy, we can call it beauty, we can call it love, but to breathe it in. And so just having you, whether you're in this space or you're part of our virtual family, just know that life is about consciousness, and that consciousness that we allow to flow through us, and the channel that we allow ourselves to become and to expressing these ideas shifts. It shifts life, it shifts humanity, it shifts this sacred journey that we are all on. I'm Reverend Lisa Davis. I am the senior minister here, and my pronouns are she and her, and we are here this morning to breathe. And if you haven't been breathing, I just invite you to do so just for a moment. If you haven't just been literally allowing that sacred breath to come in, I want to take a moment, and we'll start in prayer in just a minute, but recognizing, first of all, that this is Memorial Day weekend. It's an opportunity to hold a space for those who have gone into war, who have given their lives saying that there's something here that is worth fighting for, and that is democracy. That is a country, and we hold that intention to live in a country that has enough space for every being, and that is one that honors every being. And so holding that and just honoring those lives is such an important part of that journey. I remember my father as a veteran from 3 wars going up to the Vietnam Memorial and just putting his hand out, and it was the name of one of the people that had made his transition while my father was the commander of the planes that went into a part of Vietnam. And he said, "This was the hardest thing I ever went through, but it taught me there's another way." And he said, after AA and the spiritual practice I've done, there's another way. And I believe we're being asked to learn that as a country right now and as a world. And so the opportunity to breathe in, there's something larger, is so much a part of it. And as we do that and we move from othering and from finding differences in us and them, we hold the Islamic Center in San Diego in our hearts and our prayers as we recognize that what we're getting rid of, and we'll look at it this morning with the future is peace. A gentleman, as they go through the Holy Land and realize instead of fighting each other, they had done that enough, they decided to join together and walk through the Holy Land as the other and to know we're one. And so as we gather this morning and we hold this space, we can look at what's happening out there and we can say, no, no, no. Somewhere in there is an evolutionary impulse that is present, it's available, it's moving through us, it's moving through humanity. The answer of there are no other is already within us. And so as we begin in prayer, I just invite you to recognize you are anchored in this, that it moves through you. And I just invite you to open your heart to the infinite knowing. We say, infinite spirit, we say yes to the recognition that this one presence and one power lives, it moves, it has its being within us, around us, as us this moment. And we know that that divine aspect of the universe is present within us, expanding all of the stuff that's in our life. It might be grief, it might be illness, it might be sorrow, it might be just whatever it is. We know that life and consciousness will move us through, that love heals us, holds us, reminds us of the wholeness that we are. And we say yes to that movement. And yes to the realization that I am because you are. We are, as humanity, large enough to love, large enough to include all. And for this opportunity to gather in that knowing and to hold that space of the evolution of humanity and consciousness, we say thank you, Infinite Spirit. And so it is. Amen.
Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Portland. I'm Beth O'Shields, your administrator. My pronouns are she and her. Thank you for joining us this morning on this holiday weekend. So as I begin each service, I let you know who our prayer chaplains are. who are available to pray with you today. Up front, as always, confidentially and one-on-one, we have Satya and we have Sherry. So you can come and meet with them following the service. They do a myriad of things for us, as well as holding the high watch and blessing all the spaces before the service. But you can always submit a prayer request, which are in the backs of your chairs. We have Dial-A-Prayer that's available during the week. You can call that. And of course, they lead our Sunday guided meditations each week in the chapel at 10:30 prior to the service. So we hope you're finding everything in the newsletter and on our website. I will remind you there's no Course in Miracles this week or next. And Awaken to Spiritual Living is taking a break as well. They will be starting back on Wednesday, June the 10th, 1:30 in the afternoons with Carolyn Goolsby. There's sign-ups and information out on the table, and they're going to be starting over then on June the 10th. Yoga and meditation returns this week with Lisa Siri, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. And this is a great time to join the Current Events book study. That happens on Thursdays at 1. They are getting ready to begin a new book, Welcoming the Unwelcome. Yeah, I could read that. We all probably could. Yeah, so anyway, I wanted to make that known to you. They meet each Thursday, 1 o'clock in the chapel. All right. If you signed up for the Green Bag program, you have 2 more Sundays to get your green bags back in. We've already had a lot of them come back. That Sunday, June the 7th, is the last Sunday, and then they'll be delivered on the following Saturday. So that's just the easiest time to get them back into us. If you haven't picked up your green bag yet, or if you'd like to join this program of helping supply our food banks every other month in our community, you can pick one up out on the lobby table, the north lobby table in front of the chapel. I have a couple of public service announcements that I want to share with you. We got an invitation last week for Reverend Evan Wilkins, who was a part of our Unity family when he was going through ministerial school. He will be ordained and become the new Unity minister at Unity of Beaverton. Yes. And they are going to be ordaining him on Sunday, June the 7th at 3 p.m. All are invited to attend. I've got it up on the bulletin board, so if you remember Rev Ev, you might want to mark your calendars for that one. On a more serious note, someone has made us aware of an email that they received this week from Reverend Lisa. You know, in a world of uncertainty, you just don't ever know what's happening, but it's a blatant scam. It looked and felt really real because they were asking for gift cards for dedicated employees. But it was not real. And, you know, this is just happening more and more, not in just this community, but all the communities. So you will never receive an email from Reverend Lisa soliciting for money, donations, or gift cards, or otherwise. So just to make you aware of that. Yeah, you don't.
My email. It wasn't actually
Yeah,
my
it wasn't
email.
even her email address. You know, and this is part of just recognizing what a scam is, right? You have to see who it came from. All right, so just public service announcement, check those emails carefully. All right, next Sunday is the 5th Sunday Youth Ed Lunch Fundraiser. They are creating a sandwich bar with desserts and sides. It's always for a love offering. This is, I think, the last-ditch attempt to boost that kids' camp fund that they're trying to get all the kids to. So make sure you plan on having lunch with us next Sunday following the service. And a little advance notice, our picnic's coming up on Sunday, June the 14th. I've put sign-ups out on the lobby table today. There'll be emails going out this week to get some help for this. Kitchen team always needs a little extra support. We need setup and takedown of some tables and pop-ups out in the garden. And, you know, we're working without a service ministry coordinator right now. So I personally appreciate you all signing up in advance. So I'm not worried about it the week before, and we get some help for that. So I really, really appreciate it, because, you know, what goes up has to come down. It's a thing. So I appreciate y'all being aware of that and helping us out. And on a really great note, we'll be closed tomorrow for Memorial Day. We're going to take a day off to be with our families and to celebrate. So, yeah, that's happening tomorrow. All right. If this is your first time with us, we're so glad you joined us. We're glad you're here. We trust you got a welcome packet on your way in this morning. If for some reason you got missed, our ushers have a handful of those. If you'll raise your hand, they would be happy to put one in your hands. On the back, there's a yellow card. This gets you on our newsletter mailing list, which is very important if you want to know what's coming up. There's also a QR code you can use to give us your information. Red rose on the front, little sticker, put that on your name tag so we can know who you are, give you a warm welcome following the service. And we do invite you downstairs for coffee and connection after. Great way to make some new friends, see some new people, and join in some fellowship. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
All right. And we do want to welcome you, all of you who are here for the first time, or if you haven't been here in a long time, please know we're just thrilled to have you as a part of this community. It's so important to gather right now and to connect and to remind ourselves we're a part of something larger, that while we may feel separate in all that's happening, we're a part of something more, and that is an infinite movement of spirit and consciousness. And so if the words that you hear today, if they work for you or they remind you a little bit of who you are and the truth of your being and that you are whole, infinite, and complete just as you are, I would encourage you to become a part. We have to learn to connect. We have to learn to remind ourselves who we are and be empowered in that living. Just get involved, do what you can here. If these words do not work for you, I would encourage you to keep searching. Find a place that will say, I know while also restraining and reducing ill will, disdain, and aggression. That is the evolutionary work. And fascinatingly enough, and he cites the scientific studies that show that our brain is actually moving more and more toward that wolf of love. We are actually geared and designed with an innate need. I think, who was it? Lynn McTaggart wrote a book called The Bond. And she said, your innermost need is to bond with another being. We bond with each other. What's fascinating is somehow in this country, we had a religion that was saying, you are a sinner and not whole and not complete and not all these other things. And we're being told to bond with each other. But we're telling each other who they are and who we are. And so what we've done is come up where these two things don't go together anymore. But the universe and our hearts are designed to love. They are designed for us to feed that, to work with that. And he says, although the wolf of hate gets more headlines, the wolf of love has been painstakingly bred by evolution to be more powerful and more central to your deepest nature. In the long march from tiny sponges and the ancient seas to humanity today, relating well to other members of one species has been a great aid to survival. During the past 150 million year journey of animal evolution, the advantages of social abilities were arguably the most influential factor driving the development of the brain. There were three major advances, and he goes into what they are, and we benefit from them every day. And he talks about the ability to, first of all, just even be in connection with each other. Because evolution had to go, brains had to be more complex in order to connect. And by the way, I want to remind you, one of the things that the pandemic did was actually shrink the part of our brain that connected. And so now we have to go and build that back to continue this journey. Anybody notice it was a little more difficult to connect? Anybody notice it's still there today? It doesn't go away in a 6 months or 8 month period, but literally we are being required to make ourselves get up and over. And so no, every time you do and you connect with another being, you're actually feeding the wolf of love, because that love is a connection to the rest of humanity. And with that, and so he said first it started with the vertebrates, and that literally, what did he say? In the dry language of evolutionary neuroscience, the computational requirements of selecting a good mate, sharing food, and keeping young alive required increased neural processing in mammals and birds. A squirrel or a sparrow has to be smarter than a lizard or a shark, better able to plan, communicate, cooperate, and negotiate. So whether or not you think you're very good at it, your brain has millions of years of processing and building that skill. And our job is to continue that process. And he said the primates were the next major step in brain evolution, which occurred with the primates that first appeared about 80 million years ago. And so an example, monkeys and apes spend up to 1/6 of their day grooming other members of their troop. Interestingly, in one species studied, Barbary macaques, the groomers experience more stress relief than the groomees. So your brain actually experienced something else. And he said he had tried that rationale with his wife, but it didn't work very well. So she did not like giving back scratches. But the more sociable a primate species is, measured by things like breeding group size, number of grooming partners, and the complexity of the hierarchies, the bigger its cortex is. Our brain functions differently compared to the rest of the brain. And then they went on to say that then only the great apes had developed spindle cells, a neuron that supports advanced social capabilities, and they the great apes routinely console other members of their troop who are upset, and then 2.6 million years ago, humans, or the hominid ancestors, began making stone tools, and it continued to expand, and our brain grew. Since then, The brain has tripled in size, even though it uses roughly 10 times as many metabolic resources and as an equivalent amount of muscle. This enlargement has challenged the female body to evolve as well in order to enable babies with bigger brains to exit the birth canal. So there's been all these different changes in these requirements. And literally what we have are circuits of empathy. But how many of us were raised being told we have these? And what we're here to do is to develop them. And so when we hit a wall and we say, I don't like this is not supposed to be this way, often we fed the wolf of hate so many times, we've just said, it's us versus them, it's me versus them. And we've gone back into that fight, flight, or freeze. But the truth is, we actually have circuits in our brain for empathy. And empathy is the ability to see and feel what another is going through. And one of the most important things we can do right now is to continue exercising that. Because most of us didn't grow up being told, we were told this person is the other. They're this way or this way. And then we would our brain then, as soon as we put someone as the other, our brain creates a divide and begins giving us information as to why they're the other. And it's a fascinating process because we can find all kinds of things. You find it in our politics right now. You find it in so many different places, and it's not just in one. It's not in a blue state or a red state or this. It's not one state or the other. It's there. And it's an evolutionary process that we're required to begin to work with. And part of that is being able to see what another feels like. And he said, in marriage, the ability to know what the other person feels actually often and most always decreases as marriage goes along. And he believes the greatest thing we can do for marriage is to increase that, to work on, I wonder what it feels like to be this person. Do you know, when I was in YOU, so I was a high schooler, and I went to Unity Village, Reverend Dick Everett, who used to be the minister here, was the head of all the youth of Unity. And it was fascinating because there were black churches in Chicago and there were white churches in Chicago. And they would actually fight when we got together. Usually it was on the basketball court, but they would start fighting. And I will never forget Reverend Dick walking in the middle of these tall guys, and they're yelling at each other, and they're so angry because they had been told from birth they're the other. And Dick just stood there and he goes, not here, guys. We're all the same. And he took them and they talked with them, and he met them the next day and he talked with them. By the end of that conference, those guys were having a wonderful time together. He had taken away the us versus them and talked about how we're all the same. And years later, I saw one of the guys from Chicago. He's actually a Unity minister. And he said, it's the first time in my life that I could see a different picture than what I'd grown up with. And he said, suddenly, I knew what he had gone through, just a little bit of it. And I could understand just where he was. And he said, and now we still connect every month, every 2 months, because we figured out it wasn't us versus them. He said when they first went home, that worked at conference at Unity Village, and then they went back to their fighting as soon as they got outside of the church stuff. And he said, so we had to work on it. But they found a different way. We've been taught somebody in our life is the other. And it might be ourselves. We might not have been able to understand what it felt like to grow up as somebody who wasn't told they were whole, infinite, and complete. Or just maybe we didn't realize that that was the truth of who we were. And so we might have been othering ourselves. And when you find somebody whose world has gotten really small, and I just reread, what is it? It's a gentleman who was the head of the KKK in Alabama. And he said it's a self-published little tiny book called The Undoing of the Racist in Alabama, I believe. I just reread it. He said, I was raised being told, you may be nothing, but at least you're better than them. And my whole life determined that. And he said, when somebody finally helped me get out of that view, I began to realize I wasn't any better than them. We're all the same. And he said, I couldn't live. He actually moved across country. He said, I couldn't live near my family. I couldn't exist in what I'd done. He has spent years working to repair and to find a different way of living. But he said, in one day, I realized the lie I'd been raised on was simply, at least I'm better than them. Many, many people have been raised in that way. And if we simply hate, does that honestly serve us? Somewhere in there is a path for us to find what that is. And he goes on to say, love creates attachment. And that attachment, and I want to go into this just a minute. So he said, first of all, we have our emotions. The link circuits activate when you experience strong emotions such as fear or anger, and they light up when you see others having those same feelings, particularly people that you care about. When you can know, when you can have empathy and say, they're afraid. They may be yelling at me, but all they are is afraid. Or they may be squeezed so tight and they're acting in a way, they may not be yelling at me at all, but they're doing something, they're afraid. When we can see that, we expand our empathy, our thoughts. When we can say, oh my goodness, look at this. I wonder what they experienced in the last 24 hours. And then he said, as the human brain evolved and grew larger, childhood grew longer. Consequently, bands had to evolve ways to keep their members connected for many years in order to sustain, in the African proverb, the village that it takes to raise a child and to pass that on. And to do that, the brain acquired powerful circuitry and neurochemistry to generate and maintain love and attachment. Love feels good. It opens us up. And yet, and he goes back to this wolf of hate, our unique evolutionary background has made us wonderfully cooperative, empathic, and loving. So why is our history so full of selfishness, cruelty, and violence? Economic and cultural factors certainly play a role. Nonetheless, across different kinds of societies, hunter-gatherer, agrarian and industrial, communist and capitalist, Eastern and Western, in most cases the story is basically the same. Loyalty and protection toward us, and fear and aggression toward them. We've already seen how that stance toward us is deep in our nature. Now let's investigate how fear and aggression developed towards them. The whole thing is a brain needing to say it's us and them. Do you know when you entered the room today, on some level, you asked yourself, do I belong? Is there an us and is there a them? And you put yourself somewhere there. They said we often do it by age, we do it by gender, we do it by skin color, we do it by how we dress, how we act, who we are. Do I know enough people? And the imaginary thing that we put in our mind is everybody knows everybody else, and I'm by myself. What we're being asked to do is open up and to begin to realize that our sacred journeys that brought us to this day, they are all different, but let me tell you, there are ones that have taken us to our knees with our bodies, with losing family members, with being on an exciting adventure of being ready for a wedding that's coming up soon. And I'm just looking at people and the journey they're taking and the things that are happening, and they're all different. But they've also brought us to this place. And we've all experienced these pieces. And our opportunity is to begin shifting from us versus them out of that mindset and into one that simply uses the idea of us. Because the wolf of love sees a vast horizon with all beings included in the circle of us. That circle shrinks down for the wolf of hate, so that only the nation or tribe or friends or family, or in the extreme, only the one person is held as us, surrounded by threatening masses of them. We have to actually undo the threatening, it's them, they're coming for us, even in the midst of what's happening. There's a Zen saying, nothing left out of your awareness, nothing left out of your practice, nothing left out. And when we do that, something shifts. And the way we do it, he says, is compassion and assertion. This isn't just getting all wishy-washy and hoping that everything goes well and everybody's nice to us and we just show up and we're loving. Loving presence has compassion. It has caring. It has that wolf of love, and it has an absolute knowing, and a knowing that we know that we can assert who we are, the truth of our being, our life, without needing to go to war. We have lived in a brain that thought we had to go to war. You know, who is it? Henry Wadsworth Longfellow said, if we could read the secret history of our enemies, we should find in each person's life sorrow and suffering enough to disarm any hostility. So where do we go? Where do we move from here? There is a presence within every one of us that fear,